Everybody, I'm on the second floor of this three-level townhome and getting it ready to sell. If you can see these spots right here, hit that right there for me.
This?
That can, the bucket. No, I'm saying like, zoom
Get
in.
it?
Just show it to them. Show it to them. They need to see the name of it. Okay, cool. So I used that to patch these holes because it was a quick dry. It was very light sanding. It's more expensive than most wall patch, but it dries quick and it requires a primer and then a finish coat to go on top of it. I'm cutting everything in and my son's coming behind me and rolling it out. I suggest when you're cutting in, I don't know if you can tell the difference. You cut in with a brush, and sometimes I use a smaller brush, but I've learned how to paint with all these paint jobs. And a 6-inch roller. That gives the 9-inch roller coming behind you plenty of space if they mess up to keep from hitting the trim. I always do trim first. On this job, it's just touch up for trim, so that hadn't been painted or whatever, but all the trim will be cleaned, and spots that don't come clean will be painted. Anyway, something else to take note of. You see this hole right here? That's where the nails are pushing through. It could come through people walking in the house or whatever. I never nail sheetrock, but most sheetrock installers, when they do a big job, they use nails. Cost effective, whatever reason. Anyway, coming back. So part of the paint is you don't, if this house is getting priced to sell, you don't leave little stuff like that. And you want to match up the paint. So the good news is the original paint that came with the house is still here. So even though light affects it a little bit, but it should pass with touching that spot up. And I will be using that. Matter of fact, I just saw that hole right before I started this video. So, cutting in, I had this scaffolding for I don't know how many years, probably at least 10 to 12. Because one of my mentors had one, and I was like, I gotta have that. Because it rolls around. So I am cutting this in, and cutting just means getting close, cutting it close to the edge of the paint line. And you can do it like this, with your hand close to the middle, or you can hold the end of the brush and put some more paint on here. Remember, paint not, if it's too hard to pull the paint, meaning it's too hard to move the brush down, like see that? That's how you want it to move. But you don't want so much paint up there that it's getting on the ceiling. So you can go back there like that. As long as that brush is fanned out. Okay. Some people use tape and shields or whatnot. And when you learn how to just steady your hand, and it takes a little practice. I would suggest practicing if you, instead of doing a ceiling that you don't want to repaint, because I had one guy, I had one little spot that was a little bit off, and he made me repaint the whole ceiling. Lesson learned on that one. And I come back with the 6-inch to get the lines out. If you notice how it rolls up, and then you go back, so my finish will be pushing it forward. Let me roll down. This is why I love this thing, because you can roll it down. And I never put my hands up there or there. So I'm not painting the ceiling. This will be painted. So if I got dirt or whatever on my hands, this part of the wall will be painted to get rid of that. And you come and push them paint lines out. And you don't get all crazy with it, because that roller can slide on you. You know, if you got too much paint up there. Now, the roller does not get very good close to the edge, so you take the brush to get the paint lines out, just lightly. Notice I'm just holding it up there to it. Lightly pull them lines out for the top. The thinner the line, the more they're going to disappear. Alright, now since I'm doing the hallway, I'll just turn my cell phone around. And you have to remember you are on the scaffold, so you need to be a little careful not to step off. So, I'm going to pull that. I ain't tried it yet, but whatever. You know, talk, yeah, I need some more paint on it, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'll come over to this side, and I already did all this yesterday, that L right there. So I'm just working my way down here. So I'm gonna wait on the scaffolding. So I'm gonna pull it back this way since I already started over there. I get the little excess off so I don't necessarily paint the ceiling. And I'm gonna switch hands. And I strongly possess, if you have anything in terms of handy, learn to be ambidextrous, meaning use both hands. Because if you don't, one's going to be worn out before the end of the day. And that can cause for arthritis and whatnot. Don't get too happy with fanning it out. And when all the paint gets up there, just pull it off because it'll dry up because it's not being used while it's sitting out. And then that keeps it from drying up so much. And let's clean out on the brush. And those empty 5-gallon buckets that you finish painting with, rinse them out, keep the tops, and then you can use that for storing your paint instead of washing your brushes out every night. You can just come right back ready to roll, because if it'll keep paint, it'll keep the paint on the brush wet too. So I'm going slow with this, fanning that out. We don't want lines. And we're rolling. Alright, so and that's a feathering, a light roll. That keeps the lines out too. The more lines you see, the less of a professional look that you have. Now, some people do want lines, like in this in wood trim like this. Some people want the lines to be seen. So it just depends on the customer. Some high-end customers love to see the lines on the wood. So, but when it comes factory finish, it's smooth because they spray it. They use a sprayer to paint. I don't recommend spraying unless you're gonna take this down and mask off a lot of stuff, which takes way more time. Notice I don't have anything down. Now on hardwood floors, I will tell you the secret. When you got latex paints and it falls on a finished hardwood floor, if you're not gonna get it up right then it'll dry, scratch it, it'll peel right off. Latex paint peels. So that's just something to note. There was you can probably see discoloration right here. There was some type of frame up here where they had taped up all the way around, so they had to be patched. I took a wall scraper and there was tape still on the wall. So I took the wall scraper and scraped it off, which means I gouged in some of the sheetrock, but I took that filler, patch filler, and filled those out and smoothed them out. So I had to put a second coat on. And that was the other thing. It didn't require a second coat on a lot of this stuff. So I'm just gonna prime that, and I'm probably a little premature of that because I'm probably gonna need to touch the wall right there. So we shall see how careful I am. I did put a coat on there yesterday before I left. Okay, so the feathering, and I do that because then once you paint it, you can see whether you need to come back with another coat. One of my mentors, Jerome, told me you never finish prepping until you finish. So as you paint over something, you see it needs something else, that means the owner's gonna see it, so you need to take that time, stop, patch it. I'm not gonna do it now because it needs to dry. But there's a little wave right there, so I'll put a coat on that just to even that out. And this is where I stop. So redone the process, starting at it again. I think I have gotten everything that I wanted to share on this video, and just the highlight that was really just being on the scaffolding and the ease of use of this while going ahead. So, and another thing is over each door, I just cut all that in. I paint all that. So the 9-inch roller has no excuse for having nothing but easy work to do. In the background, you hear the plastic being put down over the steps, so that it does not become a problem with paint dripping all over the place. Of course, you don't want paint dripping, but the more attentive you get, and not to say I don't do drips, notice I keep a rag in my pocket, but the more attentive you get, the more you learn how to paint. Once you dab it off here on the roller, keep the roller wet, turn it upside down, take it to the wall, and then that helps alleviate drips and too much paint being on the brush to prevent. Nah, see, I put my hand in it. I knew I was gonna do it. I knew it. Maybe it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. I spoke it like faith and it just happened. Anyway, to know thyself is true. And going back again and doing this. So that's all I have for you. This is growing in business, I tell you. I am thankful for the favor to be given the opportunity to have these jobs, whether friends or folks who find me on different sites, or customers who advertise for me. I am just appreciative. I am very, very appreciative. And all I know is, if you do a good job, people keep coming back. That's life. Do the best you can and let your work speak for itself. So, there it is. Now, before I get too far gone, I'm gonna come back and pull them lines out up there, or matter of fact, just shrink those lines, because the brush always gonna leave lines in there. Now before I pull those out, I need to roll it, because the edge of this roller, it'll leave a line itself. And this AC is blowing right by this vent, so this is drying a little bit faster. Than the other side. But you want to keep your eye on it. No paint, just pulling lines out. And I'm go slow. There's a bad tape line up there, which caused me to think that I had paint. I'm like, no, I didn't do that. It wasn't me. And sometimes you do have to put a little pressure on there to pull those lines out. But try and go lightly with it. Okay. Thank you, let me hit stop.